What's up, guys? RJ Bates the third here from Titanium Investments, and I wanted to create a video today about the state of the wholesaling real estate industry and where we're sitting right here in March of 2024. There's been a lot of craziness that's just happened in the past month, not only in wholesaling, but just in real estate in general. A lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of concern, a lot of questions that I've seen coming up. So I want to create this video not only with my own opinions, which I'm going to give you, but I also invited some of my most respected friends in the industry, and specifically ones from different aspects of the wholesale real estate industry. So I've invited Tyler Austin from REI Sift. I've invited Jerry Norton, who is one of the just most prominent figures in wholesaling, also leading the charge in regards to forming an alliance for wholesalers. I invited David Olds from Easy REI Closings, who's coming from the transaction coordination side of the world, bringing a lot of insights and data as far as where we're sitting inside the wholesaling industry. And then as well as Robert Winsley, CEO and founder of Investor Lift, on the disposition side. But not only that, I mean, he's just a genius when it comes to wholesaling. He's been in almost every different aspect of this industry, and he's very well connected. So we have short clips from each one of them talking about their opinions on where we sit inside the wholesale real estate industry. Now, that being said, what I wanted to do is break it down for you guys on what do I think a wholesale real estate business is. Well, really, when you break it into categories, what do we need to be a successful wholesaler? Well, we need lead generation. We need the ability to close deals, right? So acquire them on the phone, acquisitions. We need to be able to dispo those deals. So dispositions, sales, and then we need to be able to do transaction coordination. If you could do those four things, then you are going to be a successful wholesaler. Now, breaking that down in comparison to where Cassie and I started in 2014 to where we are today, a decade later in 2024, how drastically different the wholesaling industry is. And quite frankly, how much better it has gotten across the board. So for me, when I think about where we are as the state of an industry right now, I think we are in such a better place a decade later than we were 10 years ago. Okay. Now, let's break that down and why I think that's the case. So, step number one, lead generation. When Cassie and I got started, the tactics for lead generation were so old school. I mean, antiquated in comparison to every other industry out there, right? We were told to do direct mail, cold calling, door knocking, driving for dollars. These were the ways that we could generate leads and get deals off of the MLS. That was what lead generation was. Nowadays, we have the ability to purchase leads from marketing companies that are experts at generating leads. So we can literally just go to them and say, hey, I want to buy these. Now, I know that there's been PPL companies around for decades, but now it's a lot more prominent in the wholesaling industry. Almost everybody is aware of it and is utilizing that in their business one way or another. So to me, the lead generation side of the business has just grown exponentially, leaps and bounds better than it was a decade ago. As far as acquisitions and closing, I think now with the boom of real estate investors having YouTube channels like mine, where we're showing here's how you close deals, showing live seller calls, breaking it down and giving you different scripts. And in my case, a formula where it's, hey, here's what I want you to do, and consistently breaking that down for you and saying, here's how you're going to be successful. Having someone like Cassie, my partner, break down underwriting and comping deals and saying, this is where end buyers actually buy. The information is so much more available than it was a decade ago. We did not have this when we got started. That's part of the reason why we consistently put out the type of content that we do. So again, I think on that side, no one was available a decade ago to teach me how to close deals. I just had to go figure it out. School of hard knocks, get my teeth kicked in and fail over and over and over again, where now the learning curve is a lot quicker for you that are newer to the industry, you can just watch some of this content for free and say, okay, I can mirror exactly what RJ does, or whoever it is that you resonate with. Okay. Now let's move to the disposition side. This is probably the portion of wholesaling that has just gotten so much better. And it enables you now to anybody can say, hey, I want to be a nationwide virtual wholesaler because of a tool like InvestorLift. I mean, that tool, that system in and of itself has revolutionized this industry because now I know exactly who is buying in the neighborhood, what their contact information is, where they buy, how many deals they've bought, how many deals they've sold, how much money they made on these, how long their holding time was, who's been able to look at my marketing when I send it out to them, how many pictures did they click, how long were they on my website. I mean, we are literally able to stalk our buyers. When we got started in this industry, it was all about going through Facebook groups and trying to contact and have coffee and breakfasts and all of this to build relationships. It was just such a slow moving process. So again, where do we sit today in 2024? Dispositions wise, we're in another league. It's not even a comparison. So again, much better. Now let's talk about transaction coordination, right? There was always transaction coordinators, but now the fact that there are multiple virtual transaction coordination businesses like Easy REI Closings that can handle your deals in all 50 states and be an expert at closing all the different deal types, not just wholesale deals, but novations and sub-twos and seller finance, whatever it is that you want to do, they know how to handle those types of transactions. So when I break down wholesaling into the four main categories of lead generation, acquisitions, dispositions, and transaction coordination, we are leaps and bounds better than we were a decade ago. Okay. Now, what are some of the things that are negative about the industry right now? Obviously, regulations, right? People coming down and making rules, saying you have to be licensed, outlawing assignments, even coming after double closes. Okay. These are obviously negatives to our industry, but there is always going to be a solution for each and every hurdle that they put in front of us. They're never going to be able to take away wholesaling. And so, on that note, I want to throw it to Mr. Tyler Austin, CEO of REI Sift, our first guest here, sharing his opinions about the state of the wholesaling industry, because he touches base on this. The fact that, hey, rules and regulations are coming down, but also understanding and how to identify yourself as a wholesaler. So, thank you, Mr. Austin, for jumping on here. Appreciate everything that you do, but he's also going to touch base on lead generation, the first aspect of being a wholesaler. Without leads, we've got nothing. So, Mr. Austin, take it away.
Hey, what's going on? Tyler Austin here, founder and CEO of REI Sift. I am really excited to hop on here for RJ and just give you my opinion on the state of wholesaling moving forward. There's a lot of controversy, different, states making it illegal, making it to where you have to have your real estate license and all this other stuff. And a lot of people making opinions that honestly have no business doing so because they don't see what's going on in the market because they don't deal with thousands of real estate investors and they don't do deals themselves. So let's be honest here. Also, and they don't realize what wholesaling actually means. Wholesaling is just a word used across many different industries, which identifies as buying something at volume at a discount. If you're just doing a deal 2 or 3 times a year and you get a good deal on it, you're not a wholesaler. Let's be honest here. You're confusing wholesaling with a signing of contracts. Much different, and a signing of contracts will never go away. Why? Well, pretty simple, because it's used in commercial transactions. It's used all the time in the real estate world as a whole. Real estate agents use assignments as well. So I don't think that that's going anywhere. I think that wholesaling is live. It's strong. It's going to continue being there. But I think it's really important for you to look at yourself as an actual real estate company. You got to decide, are you a sales organization or are you a real estate company? I prefer you to say, I'm a real estate company, which means that you're going to wholesale houses. You're going to do your off-market analysis. You're going to off-market market, but you're also going to buy from the MLS if there's good deals. You're going to, you're going to do flips. You're going to do wholesaling. You're going to do creative financing. You're going to do all these different strategies, but you're going to be smart because you're a real estate investor. So that's just my personal opinion. I just think that you need to learn how to do things the right way. Like RJ teaches. For example, I literally, just before I started this at 4:46, it's 5:08 right now, I got a message from one of our users, Quentin. Got 2 more deals, first to market, which is a strategy I was live with on March 1st on the YouTube channel with RJ. Absolutely amazing strategy. Just said one is a 60K and one is a 72 to 75K deal. This guy is crushing it. There is deals out there. I literally just drove past. I just closed yesterday a deal that's first to market. I just closed today another 80K deal that's a first to market strategy. So you just got to learn the right strategies, and you'll always be able to stay in business, whether it's in wholesaling or it's anything. But remember, wholesaling, it is the act of getting deals at volume at a discount. Don't confuse that with assignments, which is really what these states are really kind of going after. It's going after the person that's doing assignments in volume, aka what we identify as wholesaling. So just make sure you understand the actual definition of it. Is wholesaling going away? Is assigning of contracts going away? Absolutely not. Do I personally think that you can bolster your business by getting your real estate license and stuff like that? For me, 100% absolutely. If you're dominating your local market, a lot of individuals, they say, hey, well, I don't want to get my license because of this, that, or the other. I know, RJ, man, you don't really believe in the whole license and agent game. That's totally okay. But again, this is just my opinion. Get your real estate license, because, I mean, across the nation, a lot of people, what is their wholesale fees? 7 to 12K if you're not an REI SIF user. And if that's the case, you can much easier, transfer over some of them leads to listings and make 10K. From a listing. And so you can make a lot more money. So my advice to you is, as you travel through this real estate journey, just listen to the market. Listen to the leads you're gathering. If you're getting a lot of leads that are ready to rock and roll and list their house, get your license and make money. Don't quit on your dream of being in real estate just because you don't want to get your license or you only want to wholesale or whatever. Do whatever you got to do to take and capitalize on the money you're spending to get this opportunity in front of you. Seize the opportunity, but then work to try to capture more and more and more of that opportunity by getting your license, by learning different strategies to exit these deals. And that's my opinion. So that's the state of wholesaling moving forward for me. It's not going away. You just got to become smarter, become a ninja, like we say here at REI SIF, and link in with RJ's community, become a titanium real estate investor, and go from there. So we'll see you guys next time. Appreciate RJ for letting me give my opinion here. See you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Tyler. All right. A couple of things that he touched base on there. He touched base on getting your license. Obviously, that is something that we do agree with here. Cassie's been licensed for, I think, going on 8 years now. So obviously, we believe in the power of having someone inside of your organization being a licensed realtor. Also, he touched base on the first to market strategy. If you're not familiar with that, go back and watch the most recent live that Tyler and I did together on March 1st. Absolutely blew my mind. And so much so, Tyler has become a huge part of Titanium University. And we are implementing his first to market strategy with each and every member of Titanium University. It's going to be one of the first things that they do. And again, that touches base on the lead generation aspect, right? Having an industry leader like Tyler Austin now come into a community and say, I have developed a way for you to generate leads at such a low cost that is public records, and it's available for you to be able to contact motivated sellers almost instantly. When the first sign of their motivation comes out, you're able to contact them. Again, going back to a decade ago, that did not exist. That information was not available. Maybe you could have come up with that strategy on your own, but having a tool like REI SIF wasn't available, and having a teacher and an educator and an industry expert like Tyler Austin was not available. So Tyler, thank you so much for what you do for the real estate investing industry, but also for Titanium University and our community. All right, the next person I'm going to bring up is who I refer to as the Elon Musk of the wholesaling industry, Mr. Robert Winsley, CEO and founder of InvestorLift. What I was blown away by what Robert sent over to me, I just got done watching it, was the fact that he makes a huge prediction about the future of wholesaling, a monster one. And he's pretty bullish on it. So I'm not going to spoil it, but I look forward to seeing whoever accomplishes this prediction that he has. And then also seeing in the fact that Robert was one of the first people that saw that wholesaling and real estate investing was going to separate, okay, and was going to essentially become two separate industries, which I wholeheartedly agree it has become. He is also now predicting that the wholesaling industry will split into two, and there will become more companies that are solely focused on lead generation and companies that are solely focused on closing deals on the acquisition side. Interesting prediction by Robert. I trust him. I trust that his mind sees the future, unlike most people. And he's seeing what's happening in the marketplace. Like I talked about, lead generation is so much easier, and the ability for newer wholesalers to come in and just be able to essentially purchase leads instead of having to become an expert at lead generation and marketing, right? That old time saying of like wholesaling is just marketing and sales. Well, it's kind of going out of the way because there's marketing experts coming in and saying, hey, we'll just make it rule. We'll take that away from you. You can just pay us for it. So without further ado, let's bring up Mr. Robert Winsley from InvestorLift.
Let's talk about the future of wholesaling. Now, I got in the game in 2015, and when I got in the game, real estate wholesalers were looked down on. In fact, as a real estate investor working on a real estate investing team, when I discovered wholesaling, I asked someone, hey, where are these wholesalers? And they said, hey, these are people that don't have the money, don't have the construction expertise or the brains to actually run a real estate investing business. We make twice as much money per deal as them. But what people didn't understand back then is the impact of cash conversion cycles and the fact that the value creation, most of it happens on the buy and gets destroyed in the construction. So if you ever read up on top economists like Adam Smith, hundreds of years ago, he said, in every industry, as those industries become more mature, what you're going to see is division of labor. You're going to see people that become the best in the world at one thing. My hypothesis at the time was that the wholesaling investing were going to actually split apart and become two separate things. In fact, when I was working at the first business that I joined after graduating, Express Home Buyers, we were one of the first companies that went 100% wholesale, one of the first big shops to do that. And we were also probably the first in the country to break $1 million per month wholesaling. Since we did that, over the last few years, you've seen more and more companies deciding to leave the whole buy and hold and fix and flip space and focus 100% on wholesaling. Now, the beautiful thing about doing that is when you remove yourself from the physical world, when you take off those handcuffs, the scalability of your business is unlimited. Brick and mortar scales linear, and you get very fast diminishing returns. I've experienced this. We went from doing 5 deals a month flipping to 60 deals a month and almost destroyed our business doing it. Now, when you're wholesaling 100%, you don't have those restraints. There's no limit on your growth. So we've seen that separation happen over the last few years. In fact, I was just at a real estate meetup, Collective Genius, and all the top guys in the room were wholesale specific businesses. In fact, there was a guy in the room that had $4.2 million of revenue on the board just last month from wholesaling in Southern California. So numbers like that, a few years ago, people would have said that's impossible. But I think this is just day one. I think in the next year, as people get better and better at wholesaling, and they start investing and leveraging data and technology more, you're going to see the first $100 million per year wholesaler. You'll see that, and you'll see it. You heard it here first. You'll see that in the next 12 to 24 months. That's my firm belief. Now, the next big shift that I think is going to come is an additional separation. And that separation is going to be between marketing and sales. Right now, the wholesalers are generating their own leads and then also building a sales team. Those, again, are two separate different businesses. So we've started to see already the emergence of PPL companies, pay-per-lead companies. And those are companies that focus specifically 100% on generating leads and trying to be the best in the world at generating the best leads at the lowest cost that have the highest intent and selling those to real estate wholesalers. I think we're going to see a way more of that here in the next 12 to 24 months. And I do anticipate that over time, those two will also split. You'll have teams that focus just on lead gen, and you'll also have teams that focus just on closing. So you need to ask yourself, hey, if that's the future, am I going to focus on being the best marketer, or am I going to focus on just being the best person at underwriting and closing deals? That's what you got to ask yourself. Now, once you make that decision, you're going to want to really invest in technology. The reason why companies are now doing $4 million a month wholesaling is because they have technology and tools that we never had before, even just a couple of years ago. This year is also the year of AI. So with AI, we literally can give our salespeople superpowers. In fact, my entire sales force pretty much runs on AI and is giving us insights, mining data, helping us at our organization be able to sell numbers per month per salesperson that are probably twice what we ever could have done without these tools. So you're going to see more and more of those. And us at InvestorLift, we're going to be investing a ton in AI to help give you guys superpowers on the dispo side. My goal is to get InvestorLift to the point where you press a button, sell a deal. That's the ultimate. So you're going to see more and more people using InvestorLift as well. We just hit a record last month, 6,200 houses posted on InvestorLift. We also broke $1 billion in assignment fees earned for our customers on InvestorLift. 6,200 properties is a lot, but I anticipate by this time next year, we could have 50 to 60,000 properties per month flowing through InvestorLift. This is going to be good for all of you because the more efficient the market is, the more money everyone in the market can make. So if you're not investing in AI and you're not investing in technology, make sure you start today. The other big thing I think we're going to see in the next 12 to 24 months is we're going to see the big money coming back. You know, I anticipate probably 60% of wholesalers got knocked out of this business in the last 18 months. And that's because the hedge funds came in, they made it really easy for anyone with a heartbeat to make money wholesaling. And as soon as that super cheap capital left and the hedge funds stopped buying, 50 to 60% of wholesalers got wiped out. We see this in our numbers. In fact, we lost probably 50 to 60% of our pro level accounts, our entry level accounts, but we grew the top end accounts so much that actually we're making way more money today because we have more people on those higher plans. So you're going to see more of that. There's going to be less and less wholesalers, especially with new regulations around wholesaling coming in. Those are barriers to entry. A lot of people don't like those, but if you're able to get through them and get licensed or do whatever you need to do in those states, that is going to allow you to have a bigger competitive advantage in your business. You know, Warren Buffett always says you want to be in a business that has moats around it. So as those moats get wider and deeper, you're going to have less and less wholesalers that are doing bigger and bigger numbers. I was at an event a few months ago, and the CEO of Tricon. Tricon, by the way, was just purchased by Blackstone, one of the biggest investment funds in the world. He was asked, are we going to see a softening in the market in 2024? And his answer was no, because you're going to have big guys like me coming in with capital. We're seeing more capital than ever before, and we're going to backstop that. So 2024, I think, is also going to be the year we're going to see a lot of this institutional money coming back in. As the market softens, they're going to start buying in more, and you're going to see a lot more institutional money coming into the real estate investing space. So hopefully you guys like these tips. If you disagree, let me know before. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you agree, love to hear your thoughts as well. Drop it in a comment below. Thanks.
There's so much panic in the streets, and we've got a man like Robert Winsley over here predicting that in the next 12, 18, 24 months, there's going to be $100 million a year wholesaling company. I think the health of the wholesaling real estate industry is fine if that's the case. All right. Also, like he's talking about institutional money coming in, there's going to be more hedge funds and institutional, money coming into the real estate housing market. Sounds like the health is there. Okay. And I do agree with what he's talking about as far as the split in the wholesaling industry between the lead generation, the marketing side, and the sales and the closing side. I do see that. I think that's just naturally already happening with the amount of PPL companies. We've seen it with the cold call centers coming along where it's like, hey, just hire us. We'll pull the data. We'll call your sellers. We'll even close those sellers if you want. There's a lot of separation where people are seeing opportunities inside the wholesale industry. So, Mr. Winsley, thank you so much, man, for providing your insight Just 7 minutes of hearing that man talk, and it's just so much information and value provided. So thank you, Robert, for everything that you do, man. And like I said, one of the huge differences in the past decade in the wholesaling industry of why I think we are in the best place we've ever been is due to Investor Lift and that tool in and of itself. Not the fact that it emails and you can text buyers, okay? It's the information. It's the data. Data allows you as a business owner to make decisions and know where to be purchasing properties, to know who you need to be building relationships with. And Robert's tool of Investor Lift gave that to us where it did not exist previously in the wholesaling industry. So that's why I think Dispositions is in the best place that it's ever been as far as wholesaling goes. Now let's transition to the other side. Let's go to the largest virtual transaction coordinator in the industry, my good friend David Olds. He's going to share some of his wisdom, what he's seeing. He's actually going to bring data and stats from his company. He's going to share numbers, right? Actual statistics of closed deals, where deals are closing, what's the contract to fallout ratio in comparison to previous quarters. I will say one common number that we have with Mr. David Olds is our number one state where we have closed the most deals in all of the states, which I'm going to talk about this in a live here the next couple of days. But the state is number one for us is the same number one state for Easy REI closings and David Olds company. And I would almost go on a limb to say it's the number one state for all wholesaling out there. I won't share which one it is. I'll let David share that. So, Mr. David Olds, take it away. Where are we at with wholesaling in 2024?
David Olds, I am the CEO and owner of Easy REI Closings, and just wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about the state of wholesaling as of, I guess, early March 2024. So we know that 2023 was a little bit of a volatile year, right? Things were a little bit up and down. And, let's talk about wholesaling and where I think it's going for this year. As the nation's largest virtual transaction coordination company, one thing that we do have as an advantage that we get sort of a bird's eye view at 50,000 foot of transactions that are happening across the country. So we do have, probably a pretty good take on the direction that things are going in. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things in this little video. We're going to talk about some things from our perspective, what we're seeing internally with our clients. We'll talk about some statistics nationwide. And then kind of at the end, I'll tell you where I think all of it's going. But overall, for us, we went and compared July 1st, 2023, all the way to October 31st. And then we compared that period of time with November 1st to February 29th. And for us, we had massive growth. So I can't compare number to number. We can only look at percentages. And what we did see, which is good, positive news, is the rate of contracts that closed actually went up 3%. So that's good. Or thousands of contracts, 3% increase is very positive. The deals that we do for our clients has shifted just slightly. From July to August, we were 52% wholesale, 34.5% novation, and then the rest was a mixture of sub to, self-purchase, owner finance, kind of the more creative type stuff. But from November to February, we went from 52% wholesale down to 45%, right? So the number of wholesale deals actually decreased, but novations jumped from 34.5 to 37.3. So you saw just a little bit of a shift there. And then there were even more, the remainder of that was the sub to creative, owner finance, that type of stuff. So we are seeing that investors are pivoting just a little bit where they need to and finding other ways to help their sellers get the deals closed. So that is all positive. For us, and we don't normally release this, but I will for RJ, our number one state from July to October was Texas with 14.5% of all files. And then it went North Carolina at 7.6, Georgia 6.1, Ohio 5.4, and then Tennessee and Florida were at 4.3% of all of our files. And then from November to February, Texas actually got busier. It jumped up to 16.4. Georgia jumped up into second place at 8.7. Then Florida was 7. North Carolina at 6. And Alabama at 4.5. So you could see the files are primarily concentrated, really Texas to Florida in this kind of the southeast and the southern Midwest part of the country. And then, of course, we just, our files just, God, we had 1,100 files uploaded in the last 4 months. So that's good. So overall, let's talk about nationwide statistics so that we get a good feel for what's going on, because there's just a lot of nonsense that exists out in internet world and on the Facebook. So housing prices nationwide were up 4.4%, which is a good thing. And that's primarily driven by demand right now. There is no wave of foreclosures coming. Anybody who tells you there's a lot of foreclosures coming is full of shit and doesn't know what they're talking about. We're not going to have a massive bank foreclosure thing coming. At least there's nothing that indicates they will right now. There's not going to be a lot of short sales coming. We are at historic, like the bottom of the barrel rates of default right now. So that is not going to happen. Also, housing prices are not going to go down. Again, no indication that they're going to go down, because right now we have tight, very, very, very tight inventory. And primarily the reason for that is that interest rates have been a little high. So, there's been people are less likely to move out of the property they're in to just, trade houses. However, that's not terrible news for us as investors, because life still happens for people, right? People still, there's death, divorce, taxes, job transfers, all of those things, right? People are still buying and selling houses. There has been a moderate increase in price. 4.4% is pretty good year over year. I think everything for us probably hinges on interest rates. Once interest rates start to drop a little bit, all these people that are on the sidelines waiting to jump into the market will cause, that pricing to jump even more, because even though there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, people are still born every year. 30 years ago, people were still being born, right? So there are always new people entering the market that need to buy properties, right? So that leads into kind of where I want to finish here is, one, very bullish on real estate investing. There's always an opportunity. Yes, there may be some volatility in the market, but as real estate investors, the one thing that we are able to do is pivot very quickly on a dime and change our strategy as the market changes. From somebody who's been through, I guess, 3 market corrections now. Some days you're buying and holding, some days you're wholesaling, some days you're rehabbing. So, if your operation is light-footed enough, you should be able to pivot and always be making money in any market. So if you're a wholesaler, again, the market has tightened up some. If you're just doing the exact same thing you did last year or that you did 2 years ago, you're probably going to do less sales. All right, you just are, because it's a little harder to find inventory, and because interest rates have tightened up a little bit, that does affect your cash buyers, even the cash buyers, right? It does affect them, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in order to grow this year, you're going to need to pivot just a little bit. So maybe you need to add innovations or some buy and hold stuff, or you may need to pivot your strategies just a bit, or if you want to stay strictly wholesaling, you need to increase your marketing and make sure that you are being efficient and really working all of the leads that you've got, right? So making sure that you're being very responding very quickly to your leads as they come down. Make sure your follow-up game is strong. Make sure that you're making very good offers. So increase, have more efficient marketing. And, there's 3 basic categories of investors, right? That we sell to, right? There are landlords, right? Rehabbers, and then of course, builders. So as a wholesaler, if you're selling to landlords, you should be in great shape. Why? Because your landlords right now have huge demand, incredible demand for properties, because people are sitting on the sidelines and not buying. So as those people are renting, it's just absorbing more and more of the inventory in the marketplace. So, if you're a landlord, buy now. If you're a wholesaler, buy properties that landlords are looking for, that they can cash flow in. Rehabbers and builders, they are affected a little more than landlords with the interest rates, because you have to imagine, even as a wholesaler, once we dispo this property and it goes through closing, that property still lives on, right? Somebody still has to do something with it. So your rehabbers and your builders are looking at who is going to be, who's going to be my buyer, right? And how does interest rate affect the sales? Well, because of interest rates, it makes payments go up just a little bit. However, the flip side of that coin is, builders have been a little bit slow the last couple of years. Again, new people entering the marketplace, less inventory out there. So there is still huge demand. So again, if you can find builders, the lots that they're looking for, the infill lots, I've seen people talk about getting as much as 20 cents on the dollar for what the end build would be worth. So if the property is going to sell for $300,000, those lots are going from $25,000 to $30,000. So as long as you understand in your market where those lots are selling at, it's like an open book test to go out and find them and put them under contract. Same thing, rehabbers. Right now, if I was a rehabber, if I was rehabbing, I would be buying properties, because we are anticipating 3 to 4 interest rate drops this year. So I would be out there starting my rehabs now, so that by the time we're done, those interest rates are hitting. So all of that is good news for wholesalers. There is a lot of opportunity out there. But if you're going to wholesale, make sure that you're comping very specifically to the last maybe 3-6 months. You want to know exactly where the market's at. Make sure your radius when you're pulling these comps is very close. Quarter mile, half mile, 3/4 of a mile. If you're really frisky, keep the comps on the same side of the highway, that type of stuff. Make sure you're looking at apples and apples. Don't be out there looking at comps from 5 miles away trying to be optimistic just to give the seller what they're looking for. I would stay out of the rural areas and stick to major metros and those tertiary, secondary markets that surround them. So yeah, watch recent sales. Oh, nationwide, right now, there is a 3.2% month supply of houses on the market. And a balanced market is anywhere from 5 to 6 months. So what we're saying is there's half the inventory out there that's needed. So good time to be a wholesaler. Good time to be out there sourcing deals for buyers. They have to be deals. This isn't 2020 anymore, where you could just throw any piece of shit out on the market and it was going to sell. Let's go back to being, people who provide value in this market. Make sure that we are helping sellers. We're not canceling contracts, and we're putting properties under contract at the right price and bring those to your buyers. And that is going to be the way to survive this year. So hopefully that helped. If I can help you or answer any questions, please.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate you bringing in those statistics from your company and sharing those. Shout out to the state of Texas, man. That's our number one state. We have closed 28.89% of our deals in Titanium Investments history in the state of Texas. And love hearing easy REI closings. Is also got Texas leading the charge for them quarter over quarter, probably year over year. Also, really love the fact that he said, hey, contract to close ratio, we're 3% better this quarter than we were last quarter. That's awesome. Another sign of positive movement in the wholesaling industry, right? What do we always want to do? What do I personally want to do? I want to make sure that anytime we are putting out content, it is to make you better at getting deals closed. Not just a contract signed, but actually to the closing table. So checks are cashed, sellers happy, buyers happy, and you get paid. So I love hearing that in his company, 3% more. And like he said, that's over the course of thousands of transactions. That's a large number. That's a lot of sellers that were made happy, a lot of end buyers that were happy, and a lot of wholesalers that got paid. So great job there. That's a great statistic. Also interesting to see his breakdown between novations and wholesale transactions, the uptick in novations. I'm sure that's because people like Rich Wonders, Eric Brewer are doing a great job of actually teaching novations. So that's great to see that those are also successfully making it to the finish line and helping out a lot of motivated sellers, right? This is why this industry needs wholesalers. It needs real estate investors. There are a lot of motivated sellers out there that need us. And that you see just one company like David Olds is literally handling thousands of transactions and seeing how many millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that are getting moved. Going back to Robert Winsley, he's talked about just recently, InvestorLift passed $1 billion in assignments as a company. That is massive. That is a ton of money that is moved inside of our economy. So that takes us to the next thing, right? The stigma, the elephant in the room that everybody wants to talk about, the regulations. And the man that is leading the charge for wholesalers against these regulations is Mr. Jerry Norton, a great friend of mine. I've got to meet him probably going on a year and a half ago. We've done a couple of videos together. I got to judge him in the Closers Octagon. I have nothing but respect for Jerry and what he has done for the wholesaling industry as a whole, but not only in just wholesaling. It's like he's going to talk about it. He resonates as a real estate investor, not just a wholesaler. He loves the wholesaling side of things because of the deal-making aspect of it. But he is a leading figure in just real estate investing as a whole. And I love the fact that he is leading the charge for the wholesalers and wanting to essentially give us representation against these regulations that are coming down. And quite frankly, I think a lot of the regulations that are coming down are they're misled individuals that think that they are doing the right thing to benefit people that, quote unquote, are getting screwed over by wholesalers, right? People locking up contracts, then terminating, maybe people even losing their house due to the fact that they were under contract with a non-performing wholesaler, something along those lines. But I think, again, we need to look back and say, how many people have wholesalers helped? Let's look at that comparison, right? Let's look at the stats that David Olds just brings to the table and say, well, look at how many people we did help in comparison to how many people we didn't help. And what was the reason why some of these could not be helped? Was it really due to neglect from the wholesaler, or was it also just potentially because of an unfixable situation, a title issue, a lien, a judgment, right? I mean, we had a deal where the purchase price on the property was like $20,000 and it had a $100,000 judgment on it. The property could have never even been worth $100,000. That's an unfixable situation. So there's reasons why some deals don't make it to the closing table, and it's not necessarily on the wholesaler's shoulders for neglect or lack of a skill. Okay. And so this is where these regulations are coming in. And when we see regulations that come across that are specifically attacking the assignment of contract and forcing wholesalers to then double close, my argument to the people that are making these regulations is you are hurting the people you're trying to help. All that does is force us as wholesalers that are reaching out to these motivated sellers that are in situations where they need our support, they need our help, to essentially offer them less to now cover the expenses due to the regulations that you forced upon us. So the people that you think you are helping, you are hurting. That is my opinion on this. And it's backed on facts. If you force us to double close, and we now are essentially having to pay somewhere in the range of 1% to 2% of the purchase price, where do you think that money is going to come from? It can't come from our pocketbook. We have to make money. We are a business. We are a for-profit organization. So it's going to come out of the seller's pockets. Now, that being said, Jerry has some pretty strong opinions about this. He's been putting out a ton of content. I recommend going and watching his videos in regards to the regulations for the different states that he's put out. Because like I said, he's one of the most prominent figures in our industry and one of the most knowledgeable. So thank you, Jerry, for sharing your information. Let's throw it to him and let's see what Jerry thinks about the state of wholesaling in 2024.
Thanks, RJ. I'm really excited to talk about some of the things that I'm doing a little bit differently this year. One of the things about me is I try to share my journey, my experience, what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working, the adjustments I'm making. And what's interesting about me is what I'm doing today oftentimes is different than what I was doing, 6 months ago or a year ago. And because I'm constantly trying to develop and evolve and be a better version of myself, grow my businesses, and really just continually develop as a real estate investor. I try not to identify myself too much as any one thing. I don't like to identify as a wholesaler or a rehabber or a buy and holder or any of those types of things. Even though I do all those things, I really want to be more of a transaction engineer, right? Or a deal maker, an investor, and be open for opportunities. And I think that's one of the big takeaways I hope you get from me sharing right now is just, what opportunities are there in the marketplace right now? When one door closes, there's always another door that opens. I believe that wholeheartedly. And so what are those doors that are closing? What are those doors that are opening? And how do I be an early implementer, be first to the new opportunities? So first of all, a few things that I'm kind of really looking at closely in the real estate market in 2024. I'm very concerned about regulation. If you look at some of my content, I try to cover that. A lot of states are passing regulation. Some of this regulation's pretty easy to work around. Some of it's not so easy to work around. And honestly, I think every wholesaler needs to be aware of what's going on. That way you're complying and you're in tune, especially if you virtual wholesale, then you really need to know, okay, if I cross state lines and I go into this state, what are the rules there? What are the laws that are being passed? And so awareness is a big thing. So I'm talking a lot about that. I'm concerned about the overall the narrative in the marketplace around wholesaling. There's a lot of derogatory things out there. A lot of this is pushed by the National Association of Realtors, legislators, consumer protection agencies, news outlets. You're starting to see a lot more of this idea around wholesaling being predatory, which is really distressing to me and really alarming to me and upsetting because it's not. Those of you that are in the industry know that by and large we help sellers and we do a lot of good, and the entire investing ecosystem would not survive without wholesalers. Agents can't serve these clients. It's wholesalers that are doing the work to source and find distressed sellers, helping them out of that bad situation, bringing inventory to the market for other investors, cash buyers that do rentals and flips to have inventory. And so we just do so much good to the community, and I want to bring more awareness to that. So one of my big things is bringing more awareness and also helping the industry raise the bar. I think we really need to do that. I've talked a lot about organizing as a unified body. I'd love to see the association that I kind of started or I got started off the ground and maybe get some more support. So please reach out and support me. You can go to nrewa.org, I believe is the website. I'll put the link on here. And you can join the mailing list and just kind of pledge your support, and we'll get back to you with more information as we progress through that. So that's one thing that I'm really interested in and doing a lot around this year. Another thing is I've kind of gone a little backwards in some of my models with wholesaling specifically, and I'm really big on going on appointment. Now, I've been a virtual wholesaler for many years. I love virtual. I love the lifestyle. It works great. There's nothing wrong with doing virtual. Even what I'm about to say isn't the only way or the right way necessarily. I just like the idea of going on appointment. I feel like it gives me a little bit of a competitive advantage because I can be face-to-face and belly-to-belly with a seller. And I feel like if I'm quick to an appointment, it's going to give me a competitive advantage over other people that are just closing on the phones. Now, does that mean that you physically need to be there to go on those appointments? No, not necessarily. I've got partners, and my partners go on appointment in some of my key markets. I'm really liking that model. I'm really feeling confident about that model. I feel like our close ratios are doing really well. Now, again, I still virtual wholesale. I do it quite a bit, especially if it's a market that I'm not super familiar with, or it's not a dedicated market where I'm spending money on marketing and advertising. But like RJ, I'd like to go into any town or city in America and find leads, talk to sellers, get on the phones, and close deals. So that will always be my core. is just, finding leads, talking to sellers and closing deals. But as far as like one of the adjustments I'm making, I really like that local backyard model where I can really build a brand presence in that market and really try to serve that community really well. That way I can go in and I can dump a lot of marketing dollars and try to be known as a market expert. So that's kind of one of my big things that I'm doing right now currently in the industry. But overall, I'm very, very excited about wholesale real estate. I look at some of the things that happen in the news, like the National Association of Realtors settlement. That's kind of a current event as of this recording. And I'm always looking like, okay, well, what's happening and how is this impacting the way I do business? And am I overly attached to any one idea, any one model? That's dangerous because you have blinders on now and you're so focused on what you were doing that you're not open to other things that might be going on around you and letting go of certain things. I never want to be the Titanic and sink with the Titanic, right? So I don't attach to any one thing. So if something changes, I want to be quick to adjust. I think the investors in our space, the real estate investors I know that make the most money, continually make money, are the ones that are very quick to adapt to market changes. And especially as a wholesaler, because we just shift with the market. So if it's up, we get to buy at a discount from wherever it's at, up or down or sideways or whatever it's doing. So we're already trained to think that way. Like, what's the market today? How do I acquire a property at a discount off of today's values? Because I'm just going to wholesale it on today's value anyway, right? That's wholesaling. So we're already kind of ingrained into thinking that as the market goes like this, I just go like this, but just slightly below whatever the market's doing. And if you can adapt that idea, the best wholesalers, they're very well adjusted to fluctuations, so they can adapt quickly. And they're always like one step ahead, or they're trying to be one step ahead of what's happening. So if interest rates adjust, we adjust very quickly. And whatever it's doing, whatever the market's doing. Politics, macro level, micro level, I want to be very nimble. My team's got to be very flexible. I tell everybody that works for me, hey, what we're doing today, we might not be doing tomorrow. And if you got a problem with that, it's not a good fit here, because I have to be able to adjust quickly. So those are just some things that I'm really, thinking are valuable and important that I'm doing, that I'm trying to look at as a wholesaler and as an investor in 2024. But kind of taking one step back, or maybe a 30,000 foot view down at the industry or at real estate in general, I'm very encouraged. I'm very excited. I love the things that I've got going on in my business. I love some of my bigger projects. I've got some development things going on. I've got some luxury things going on. I've got some flips that I do a little bit. But my core, my roots, where I came from is wholesaling. And there's something about wholesaling that's ingrained in my blood that I will always do, because I just love transacting. It's the deal making part where I get to just put together an amazing deal, move it, and get that big dopamine rush, and then go right back to another deal rather than stay in deals and operate deals. Not as much fun for me. So I hope this resonates with you guys. I'm really excited for you. I hope that you go out and you really approach the market from abundance. One of the things that I just cannot stand hearing is there's no deals, there's no opportunity, wholesaling doesn't work, because none of that is accurate. If you think it's true, it's true. I believe there's deals every single day, and I believe the deal of a lifetime is right around the corner. It's probably the next call I'm on. And I feel that way, and I show up that way, and therefore it actually is true. It's true because I believe it's true. And, I think in this business, mindset's probably 90% of the equation for success, and strategy and all the other things that we talk about or we want to focus on the most of the time is only maybe 10% or 20% of really what it takes. So are you developing yourself? Are you showing up every day from the best of you? And if you're not, then how can you? Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I showing up the best version of me today? And if the answer is no, which it usually is, then that just means, okay, what changes do I need to make today to be a better version of myself? Not just in real estate as an investor, but also as a spouse, as a parent, your spirituality, your health, your fitness, all the things. How can you show up your best self? And as long as you're having that self-evaluation and you're self-confronting and you're and you're willing to say, what changes do I need to make? Then that's when you have continual growth. And not only will your bank account keep going up, but just your overall life experience will improve. And I just believe that wholeheartedly. And grateful for guys like RJ Bates. Thank you, RJ, for being such a friend, such a leader in the industry, for a disruptor, challenging status quo, challenging old ideas that are prevalent in our industry. Appreciate that so much about you. And for your tenacity and for your just your competitive nature. I love your competitive nature, because in this business, you eat what you kill, and you kill what you hunt. And every day is a hunt. And if you're not a hunter, you're not going to make it in this business, because guys like RJ are going to just destroy you. So go out there and hunt and get those deals and bring it home. And I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Man, thank you so much, Jerry, for all of the information and value that you just shared with all of us. What an absolute honor for me to have people like Tyler Austin, Robert Winsley, David Olds, and Jerry Norton to hop on here. They didn't have to do this. I reached out to them via text message, and I said, hey, I want to create a video about the state of the wholesaling industry. And I didn't give them any other information other than just share where you think we sit as a whole. And this is what they gave us, guys. This is straight from their experience, their business, their perspective as to what's going on in the wholesaling industry, to double down again on where I think we are. I think we are in one of the healthiest positions as an industry that we have been in my decade of experience in this industry. Looking back at where we started and where we are today, we are light years ahead of where we were as far as technology, the opportunity that exists in front of us with lead generation, closing, dispositions, transaction coordination, the core fundamentals, the wholesaling real estate. Everything has gotten so much better. Do not let the fear of these regulations that are coming down in relatively random markets. I mean, just being quite frank, a lot of these locations probably didn't impact the most of you, right? I don't know how many people were doing deals in Virginia or Oregon or Iowa. It looks like, I think Indiana just recently passed something that could be a big one for some people. But to Jerry's point, when he talked about the regulations, some of these are easily overcome. Some of them not so much. But again, we will figure out ways and solutions to continue wholesaling, because there is a need for this. There's a need for wholesaling in the real estate industry. We will always exist. We will always overcome, because why? We are problem solvers. It is what we do by nature as wholesalers. So we will overcome whatever hurdles they put in front of us as far as regulations goes, because we're here to serve people. We're here to serve our end buyers. We're here to serve the sellers. And in return, we make really good money doing it. So that being said, the state of the wholesaling real estate industry to me is the healthiest it's ever been. I don't see this going away anytime soon. I see massive opportunity in front of each and every one of us. Take advantage of these opportunities that are becoming more available to each and every one of you. Make sure you're connected inside of a community like our free Facebook group, The Vault. And if you want even more insight to being a part of a community, join Titanium University, where we are always staying on top of the new opportunities, new lead generation strategies, new technology that comes available, and staying on top of these regulations. That being said, guys, this is a big video for me. It means a lot to have this level, this caliber of individuals share their expertise, their knowledge, their wisdom. So make sure you like this video and leave me a comment. Give a shout out to these individuals, Tyler Austin, David Olds, Robert Winsley, and Jerry Norton, for everything that they do for this industry. Thank you guys so much. Let's go win the day. Let's go close some deals.